All right, let's go out to Anna in Queens, New York. What's up, Anna?
You.
Anna, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, what's up?
I'm sorry. Hi. How are you?
Oh,
It's
don't be
so great to
sorry.
talk to you.
You're good. It's an honor to talk to you. How are you?
I am so nervous right now. I'm like shaking.
Are you kidding, Anna? Seriously, have you listened to the show?
Oh my God, like you wouldn't believe. I watch your YouTube videos all the time, so it's really weird to just hear your voice and
Okay,
not
but
see your
listen,
face.
you know I'm not very good at this. You have nothing to be nervous about at
I think you're
all.
great at this.
I assure you. So what's up? How can I help?
Okay, so in preparation for this call, because I know I was going to be super nervous and I tend to ramble when I'm super nervous, I wrote everything down. So I'm just going to read off like a little script here.
You are a saint. Good for you. I need to take lessons from you on how to just be a better human. So, okay, go for it.
Okay, so my question is, when facing arguments or disagreements in a relationship, how can I change my mindset from a me versus you mentality to an us versus the problem? So I wrote out some like background. So my boyfriend and I have been together for almost 2 years, and we moved in together back in June of last year. From the beginning, we were very open and honest about what we wanted out of a relationship. We shared our values and thoughts on what we wanted our futures to look like and found that we wanted the same thing. He's kind, thoughtful, a super dork, and all around hilarious, and I just love him to pieces. He's actually the reason how I became a listener of your show. He found Dave Ramsey in an attempt to help me figure out how to pay off my debt. And if my calculations are accurate, I should be debt-free by the end of this year.
Way to go. Very cool.
Thank you. He has been such a rock and support system throughout this tumultuous journey, making sure to wipe my tears away when I've reached my limit, to offer me advice and words of encouragement when I need it most, and truly walking beside me every step of the way. When it comes to my part in our relationship, I truly struggle with voicing my needs, especially when it comes to arguments. What I try to say comes out entirely wrong and actually makes the argument much worse because it starts with me wanting to present why I'm feeling upset, but the way I communicate it ends up hurting him and escalating the situation.
All right, I want to pause. Stop right there.
Yep.
I'm going to dig in real quick. Where does that come from? When was it communicated to you that your needs didn't matter?
Oh, like essentially my entire life.
Your whole life. Okay.
Yeah.
And so I want you, imagine you're in Queens, right? So imagine you left Queens and just were dropped into Mexico City.
Okay.
And everyone's speaking Spanish. It would be really frustrating because you're trying to communicate, you're trying to be a good human, you're trying just to get some food, you're trying to get some, like, take care of your, like, the leaky pipe in your apartment, but you don't speak Spanish. And so you're learning Spanish and you're practicing and you're trying, you're going to stumble through it. And then you're going to look up and 2 or 3 years later, you're going to be almost fluent, right? Because you've been practicing. Think of expressing your needs like that.
Okay, so just like more practice.
It's being very gentle with yourself.
Okay.
And saying one of your needs out loud to your boyfriend, which is, I'm going to say this probably the wrong way. Is now a good time? And so he can go, okay. And if you tell him, hey, I'm trying to learn how to express my needs, express what I need. And he may need to practice on hearing somebody else's needs because he may have grown up in a home where his job was to make sure everybody was okay. And if somebody has a need, then his body responds as you're failing, and mom's going to get pissed and rip the cabinets off the wall. And you see how couples do this dance together where I don't really know how to say my needs, and I bottle them up, and then you just explode as a good New Yorker. And then he is a peacekeeper. I just got to make sure dad doesn't get pissed and mom doesn't drink too much, and I gotta. And then all of a sudden, he gets this explosion, and he shuts down, and now we're in this loop-de-loop-de-loop-de-loop. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's fair. Should I continue?
Yeah, of course. Continue. Yeah.
So the original issue gets pushed aside, and then the argument is no longer about the issue I presented, but more of how I'm hurtful and careless with my words. So this has been an ongoing pattern in our arguments. And in our most recent argument, he said that he feels I approach issues with the mentality that it's me against him. And he often feels like I'm attacking him when he's trying his best in our relationship. And when I thought about it, I realized he was right.
I was going to say, are you? Do you attack him?
So my perspective is like, so I never yell, I never curse. I don't come off aggressive, but when I'm upset, you can like taste it in the air. Like I'm fuming, right? And I
Yes.
just get very quiet, and so he'll very gently come over and be like, "Hey, are you okay, or do you want to talk about it?" And then I'll just very like calmly say, I'm feeling this because of, you're doing this or you're not doing this, and I would appreciate if you did that. But then he's like, you don't necessarily, just because you're speaking calmly to me doesn't mean that your words are.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
that is an old, um, that's an old male trick that where you become this radioactive center. My wife calls it Sunday afternoon dad. Like this, like just sitting on the couch in this pulsing energy. And anybody who's like, hey, what's wrong? And you're like, nothing. Why are you always bothering me and hassling? And all of a sudden it's like, whoa, right?
Yeah.
You said something really, really important. You said when he asks you, hey, what's wrong? You said, you're making me feel ...
Mm-hmm.
And I call bullcrap on that. You are choosing to feel XYZ. And that's the real question. Why is your body shutting you down? Why is it feelings are like sign, they're like road signs. Why is your body telling you exit here? Why is your body telling you slow down and go 1 mile an hour because there's a wreck ahead?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it telling you that? Whenever someone says this word, I roll my eyes, but it's so true. That's mindfulness. It's being curious. Why is my body so mad right now? Because that guy loves me. We're on the same team. I really wish he'd pick his socks up. So stupid that he won't pick his socks up. But I know he loves me. Why is my body responding as though we're breaking up and this is it and he slept with my best friend? Like, you see what I'm saying? Like, it just gears up. That's where you take ownership of how your body's responding to a situation. And then from that, you might have some very, very, very real needs. You are absolutely disrespecting me. You are abusing me. You are in the same way you can, by the way, you can control the house, not by yelling, not by swearing, but just being this gravitational pull of all joy and happiness. He can hide his frustration and disappointment and anger and shame with a big old smiley face. And I'm bringing you your cup of coffee just like you like it. He can hide there too.
Oh my God, that's actually pretty funny because he does say that when we had our most recent argument, he did mention that like the things that you're upset about, he's like, they aggravate me too because you do them as well. But I choose to look at the bigger picture, right? Like, I love this woman. I see a future together. We're going to get married. Like, this is the one for me. And she's going through a lot right now. Like, I work 2 jobs, because of being on this debt-free journey and everything. So I'm constantly busy and tired. And he's like, I can overlook, like, if she leaves her teacup on the table. But if I do it, it's a whole thing. So he really wishes that I could just take a step back and just look at everything that we have and all the love that we have in this house and, how much we love each other and support one another and just think like, that's enough. Like he's not saying that my needs are not important, but he's like, and he's more than happy to help meet my needs, but he would really appreciate it if at first I just kind of took a step back and looked at everything and see how I feel after I take that.
Would you like that? That sounds like a much more peaceful way of living.
100%. But it's just, I don't know, like something happens. Like I see red.
Yes.
And I'm not violent.
I'm not violent, but I'll kill him to death. So here's what I want you to do. Okay. 2 things. Is there a cultural divide here? Y'all have different racial ethnic backgrounds?
Yeah.
Okay. This is super common too, where there's I don't want to say a cultural mismatch because it makes it sound like it's dysfunctional. But there is here's the way we talk in our house, right? I was talking to the great master therapist Terrence Real, and I was asking him about yelling because I've just come to believe that yelling is abusive, and I think his example was it is unless you're a family in New Jersey, and that's the way you talk to each. Like it's just shut up. And it's part of the culture, right? Or I grew up in Texas, and my friends who were first gen Mexican Americans, who very different approach to like, hey, there's an issue here. I got real stoic and quiet, and they may get fill in the blank, right? So I think there's call out the cultural mismatch there, or hey, I'm not. You're gonna love me. What is the different ethnic backgrounds?
He's Asian.
Okay.
And I'm a white Jewish.
Oh, fantastic. This is going to be spectacular. Spectacular, right? So I could make all the generalizations here, right, that I learned in grad school. I won't do that. But ask yourself, has he been trained to respond in way X, and you've been trained to respond in way Y? Okay, and there may be a mix match there. So you may be swimming more upstream than you think. It may not be that you're broken. It may be that the way you were trained to engage in an issue was really helpful in this context. We're gonna have to create new context together in this new relationship. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, on a very practical scale, here's what I want you to do. This is gonna cost you probably 79 cents. Are you ready for this investment?
Yeah.
Okay, you may have to work a third job to pull this one off, but we can do it, okay? I want you to go down to a corner market like CVS or Walgreens or something like that. I want you to get a deck of, I want you just to get a package of note cards, okay? I've got a hard writing deadline, and I've been up into the mornings for the last 2 weeks, and my words aren't coming. So I want you to get a pack of note cards. And when you get mad, when you see a quote unquote problem, I want you to pull out one of those note cards and write the problem down. And before you engage him, before you start picking at him or yelling or as you're starting to see red, I want you to put that card down on a table, and I want you to have the conversation about that problem with him sitting next to you on your side of the table. Mm-hmm. So you are both facing the quote unquote problem, the issue.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. And here's what that's going to do. You're going to see a cup that he left out overnight. He's going to have like that little bit of coffee left in the rim. It's staying in the cup, and it's just gross. And it's going to be sitting on the coffee table, and you're going to see it. And you're going to get insta pissed. Because that coffee cup means he doesn't love you, and he never listens to you, and he's disgusting, and he's going to raise kids who are slobs. Right, you're off to the races. Mm-hmm. I want you to grab a note card in that moment and write it down. And write down on that note card, he left out coffee cup, comma, he doesn't love me or respect me. And I want you to set that on a table, and then I want you to call him in. And then say, hey, we need to talk about a problem. You see like how absurd this is? And he's going to sit by you, and you're going to be like, you left a coffee mug out, and my body feels like you hate me. And y'all can both just stare together, shoulder by shoulder, side by side, at this problem. And now I'm making fun of the problem. Some of the problems may be big, right? Mm-hmm. You don't come home when you say you're going to. You pretend to be a champion, but you really are pretty subversive about this thing. I don't feel safe around you. You pressure me to do things I don't want to do, right? So some of these things may be real, but if we're in this relationship together, remember this line. If you win and he loses, you both lose. Okay? So going to war against him is not going to help the relationship. Solving these challenges that will pop up. And by the way, these will pop up for the rest of your relationship with him. Forever and ever and ever. Amen. Till the end of time. The goal is not to come up with a challenge-free or disagreement-free relationship. That's a boring way to live. That means neither of you are trying very hard. We got to come up with a way that we can always come back to the table on the same side and solve these things together. Does that make sense? And have the courage and the strength to say, my wife has done this to me. Okay. I'll just give you some insight into my house. She'll see red on something, and I'll take it so personal, and she will look at me and not smile, but kind of smile. And she will say, John, not everything is about you. Not all of my smiles, all of my happiness is because of you. And not all of my anger is because of you. Not everything's about you. And he's going to have to learn that sometimes when you see red, it has nothing to do with him. Right? And he's going to have to learn to not take things so personal in the same way that you might have to learn to back up 30,000 feet, detach a little bit, and realize, hey, there's a much longer game we're playing here. He's really tired. He's exhausted. He didn't leave the cup out because he hates me. He left the cup out because, man, what is going on in his life? That's a shift from judgment to curiosity, from anger and rage to hospitality. Dude, there is a wet towel in the middle of the floor. It's because he's disgusting and gross and I hate him. Or there's a wet towel on the floor. What in the world is happening in his world where he just left it there? Something must be going on. One of those is a shift to curiosity, one of those. But again, put wet towel on that piece of paper, on that note card, put it in the desk and be like, how do we solve this one? And man, you're going to find that most of your problems most of the time dissipate like a vapor. And the real challenges, the real relational issues that pop up, you're going to be able to look at them side by side and say, hey, let's go tackle these things together.